So we are carrying on this series called Summer Shorts, where just over the summer we're just taking a little step back and taking a little bit more space to sing a few more songs and to be able to respond to the stuff that we're talking about this morning or in the sessions. And so today I want to talk about things like this. Not tea, but items that are looking a little bit tired and a little bit worn out. I wonder, do you have a broken, worn out item that you still hold on to? Something that is chipped or broken, but you know it should be thrown out, but for whatever reason you can't bring yourself to throw it out. Maybe it is a mug and it's got chips in it, and you've got other mugs that have been chipped and you throw them away, you discarded them long ago, but this mug is damaged, but it's got meaning, and you hold on to it. You still drink out of it. Maybe it takes pride of place on your shelves or in your cupboard. Maybe it's a sofa. Maybe you've got a tatty, worn-out sofa that's got rips in it, and the stuffing is coming out, and the springs are sagging, and it should be thrown out. But you can't bear to part with that sofa or that chair because there's so many meaning for it. It carries so many memories for you. You love that sofa. You love this broken object. Anybody else would have discarded it long ago, but for you, it has meaning, and you hold on to it. Let me introduce you to Teddy. This is my daughter Leah's Teddy. She's had him since she was 3. Leah's now 20, and I've only got a photo of Teddy because Teddy's very precious to Leah, and Leah's away at satellites helping with young people there, and she doesn't trust me to look after Teddy while she's gone, so she let me have a photo of him. And as you can see by Teddy he's old and he's smelly and he's saggy and he's got rips and his stuffing is coming out and all of those sort of things. We should have thrown Teddy out years ago. He smells. It's like this sort of stuff. But Leah loves Teddy. Even though he's broken and old and saggy, there's something about Teddy for Leah that he's just valuable. He's invaluable. He's priceless. And to throw him away would be, we couldn't even think of doing that. And, Leah Teddy's not expensive. I think a friend got him from Asda. And when we realized that Leah was attached to this Teddy, we went out and bought 2 other Teddys as backups, just in case she lost this Teddy. What we didn't anticipate was that Leah, as a 3-year-old, could tell apart the real Teddy. She knew, we couldn't tell, but she would know which one was the real Teddy. She named them 2 Teddy, 3 Teddy, and 7 Teddy. Makes no logical sense whatsoever. And 3 Teddy is the most important Teddy. And we would swap them around, and she would be able to tell which one is 3 Teddy. And actually, we thought, because 3 Teddy's looking a bit saggy, maybe we should take some of the stuffing out of 2 Teddy and stick him in 3 Teddy and just keep them for parts. Sounds a little bit macabre, doesn't it? It's like some horrible Disney horror movie or something like that. So we've not done that, those sort of things. But the thing is, Teddy is so special. He's so valuable. And actually, the scars and the sagginess and those things tell a story of a shared life, of a shared experience. There's been many holidays that Teddy has come on. He's been well troubled when Leah was younger. And his imperfections sort of add to his unique charm. His imperfections add to his unique character and value to Leah, that when Leah looks at Teddy, she doesn't see this old, smelly, ripped, saggy bear. She sees something that is precious to her, something that has been with her throughout her life. Now, you may also notice that on the table in front of me, I've got this broken vase, this broken pot. And, it's not valuable. It's not valuable in sentimentality or financially. It was just a pot that we had in the cafe, and somebody knocked it over and broke. But I resonate with this vase because often I feel like my life or some parts of my life are like a broken vase. Certainly when it comes to life at FBC, sometimes it can feel that for me in my role, that my job at FBC is just trying to hold all of these various pieces, of a jar jar together, and sort of like it's just trying to keep everything in place and everything functioning and everything going the right way and all the programs and activities and all of that sort of stuff happening. And I feel sometimes that my life or my job is doing this. I'm just trying to hold all of these various elements of life at FBC together. Look, that's holding there. That's nice. And stuff happens that causes pieces to fall over. Stuff happens that causes pieces to fall off or fall apart. Last Sunday, we celebrated Jamie's last Sunday with us as our youth worker at FBC. Jamie's been with us for 11 years. And when he told me that he was leaving, it felt like one of these pieces of the jar, of the vase, had fallen off. You know, we just appointed Sean as our new kids worker, and that was great. It's like, yes, we're finally getting the vase back together, and that's one piece in. And then Jamie says, I'm leaving, I'm going to go to another job. And this other piece fell off. And I was sort of like just pondering this picture of this sort of broken jar, this broken vase stayed with me for a while. And I was just pondering it and thinking, just sort of offloading to God. Do you ever do that? Sort of moan and complain a bit, we've just done this, Lord, and then this has happened. Things are just more difficult than they need to be. And I'm picturing this thing as my job in FBC is this vase. I'm trying to hold all of these pieces together. And the problem is I don't have enough hands. Yeah, I can keep that piece in there and maybe that piece in there, but then something else goes over there, and I've not got enough hands to actually hold all of these pieces together. And I had this sense of God speaking to me in the midst of this. And I know that sounds strange. You know, what I mean by that is not an audible voice, but something from within me where I sensed, a nudge or a prod from God where, he wanted me to hear him say something into my life, something that comes not externally, something internally that I know to be true. And as I'm picturing this thing and I'm trying to hold all these pieces together, I had this sense that God was saying to me, well, let me do that for you. Let me do that for you. Let me hold all of these pieces for you. And I've sensed that God was saying, Chris, it's not your responsibility. It's not your job to hold all of these various elements of FBC and church life together. That's my responsibility. Let me do that for you. And you know what? I was quite pleased by that. There was something very freeing and very releasing in that. As I thought, great. Okay, you can do that, God. You've got bigger hands than I can. And try and actually sort of allow him to step back. God, you hold all of these pieces together. But it's one thing to say that. It's actually a completely different thing to do that, because I actually struggle to do that. I struggle to let go. I struggle to get out of the way and allow God to do what he can do sometimes, because, Jamie announced that he was leaving a month ago, and we're fast approaching a new term, and there is still a big piece of this jigsaw, of this vase that's missing. We've not managed to recruit somebody yet to take over from Jamie. And I constantly have to come back to God and say, okay, look, you remember this piece, God? You remember that, you need to get this piece, and it's like, yeah, he knows. I'm like, but can you put that on? Because my temptation is to go and trying to hold all of those sort of things together. And actually, it's quite difficult just to step back and allow God to do that and allow him to hold that. This image sort of stayed with me. Actually, this vase, when it broke, I took upstairs to my office because I resonate with this. Actually, the stuff that God's speaking to me about this sort of stuff at the moment. And life happens, and a bunch of other stuff happened in life that's got nothing to do with FBC, nothing to do with my job, nothing to do with church. And I realised that actually this image of the vase that I had and God holding it together and all these broken pieces, actually, it wasn't FBC. But it was me. That I'm a broken vase. I'm a broken jar, and there's bits of me that are broken. There's bits of me that fall off, not literally, and there's things that just don't quite fit, or there's things that go wrong, and I try and hold all of these various elements of life and family and finance and stuff together, and as God was saying, I thought he was saying, let me do that for you for church, actually saying, let me do that for you, Chris, that I want to hold you together. I want to hold those various pieces together. And the thing, I just love that image. It stayed with me for a while, and as I pondered on it, I was amazed that despite our brokenness, despite my brokenness, and I think, I'll tell you something about me, which I think is true of you also, is I am broken, I am chipped, I have cracks and scars, I carry scars of the rubbish that's been done to me and the rubbish that I've done to myself or to other people, that my life is a broken vase. And despite all of those things, God doesn't just put up with me. God doesn't just tolerate me or us in our brokenness. That actually God sees beyond those scars, that God sees beyond those chips and that damage. He sees beyond the cracked. And he sees us as irreplaceable. He sees us as something or someone that is precious, not unlike an old teddy. And as I was pondering all of this sort of stuff, I was reminded of the words that a guy called Paul wrote to the Christians in a place called Corinth. Let me read them for you. He says this: "For God, who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ." Now, if you read, we're in verse 6 of chapter 4. If you read the words before this and the chapter before this, you'll see that Paul is talking about the glory of God, and he's comparing here like the physical light that God had when he created the world with this spiritual light that God wants to place within us. This light that illuminates and it shines and it points people to the glory of God. This light that is perfectly seen in the person of Jesus and the things that Jesus said and the things that Jesus did. And Paul says that God has placed this light within us, that God has placed the light that shines of his glory within us if we're followers of Jesus. Just get your head around that for a moment. The light of creation, the light of God, the light that declares the goodness and the glory of God, that precious light, God has placed within you if you are a follower of Jesus. That light radiates from within you. If you follow Jesus, God's light shines from within you. And Paul goes on to say, "But we have this treasure of the light of the glory of God in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." Paul has just called us jars of clay, and jars of clay, it's not the nicest thing maybe to be called. He's comparing us to something that is common, something that is cheap, something that is fragile. When you compare these jars of clay with the treasure that is within, jars of clay are common, they are cheap, they are fragile. You are common. You are cheap. You are fragile. Welcome to church again. I'm sure you're encouraged by that. How does that make you feel? Honestly, that we're common. There's lots of us. Most of us don't really stand out from the crowd. Actually, what makes us special or those sort of things, we're fragile, that we break easily, we get offended easily, we bruise easily. The problem is we live in a culture that expects us to be strong and sorted, or present an image that we are strong and sorted. We celebrate people who are strong and sorted. We're watching the Olympics at the moment, and I love watching sport. I love watching the Olympics, and we celebrate the best of the best, and we give them medals, and we stick them on a podium, and we cheer for them. Yeah, of course we should do that. That's a good thing to do. But the reality is, most of us are not that. I think in the Olympics they should have a lane for ordinary people, just so you can see how amazing it is that these people are doing, and somebody from the crowd comes down and does the 200-meter butterfly, and you can compare it. This is what a normal person is like, and then these super athletes, what they are like. But most of us are not that. Most of us are this. Most of us are average. You know what? That's a good thing. Own your average. We have to be average. We can't all be completely special or in this top 1% in all of those things, because if we all were that, well, that would be average. Average is a good thing. I think we should own it. And when we realize that actually yeah, okay, we don't have to be these things. When we're able to own our average, something amazing happens within us. There's something releasing and freeing about owning that, because it's exhausting trying to present this image to the people around us that we are strong and that we are sorted and that we're in the top 1% in whatever it is that we're doing all of the time. That is exhausting. And people actually know that that's not true. But when we're able to actually own, yeah, okay, I am common, I am cheap, and I am fragile, it creates space for God to do something that only God can do in us. See, God knows who we are. God knows what we are like. God knows what we're good at and what we're not good at. God knows where we thrive and where we struggle. God knows the good things about us, and he knows the bad things about us. God knows us better than we know ourselves. And in the midst of that, he sees us. He recognizes, he knows that we're broken jars, that we are jars of clay. He doesn't just tolerate us. He doesn't just say, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to put up with them because of their brokenness and their failings and their shortcomings. He loves us. He holds us. He embraces us. And he delights in us, even though we are jars of clay. Paul goes on to say, we're hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. We're persecuted, but not abandoned. We're struck down, but we're not destroyed. I mean, this is why we're broken, because the pressure of life just crams in on us, and actually it takes its toll, and we buckle under on that. I wonder where you're feeling hard pressed. I wonder where you're feeling crushed. I wonder where you're feeling the pressure of life at the moment. You know, is it, at work or at home or with your health or your finances or your relationships or whatever it is, so the various aspects of life that you're trying to hold together for yourself, and you're feeling this, I'm hard pressed on every side. Sometimes it feels like it's relentless, the stuff that happens. Have you ever noticed that things come, one thing happens and another thing happens and another thing happens, that sometimes we go through seasons of life, it just feels we're hard pressed. And then sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're in seasons of life where everything is going fine and everything is going in smooth. But in those moments, we can feel that weight, we can feel that pressure coming on, and it doesn't take long for cracks to appear. It doesn't take long for these cracks to appear in ourselves, but those cracks to appear in our relationships, those cracks to appear in our connection with God or our understanding of who God is. When we feel the weight and the pressure and the challenge of the world around us or the life around us, it doesn't take long for the scars to appear. But the good news is, even though we're hard pressed on every side, we're not crushed. Even though we're perplexed and we're not sure, why is this happening? And if we could change it, we would change it. Because of this light of the glory of God within us, we're not in despair. Even though we're persecuted and people say or do things against us, and maybe it feels like people are ganging up or there's people who are out to get us, we're not abandoned in that God still stands with us, that God meets us in that. Even though we're struck down, we are not destroyed. We are not abandoned. We are not defeated. Paul goes on to say, we always carry around in our body the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. This sounds a little bit strange. And I think what Paul's saying is that we're aligned with the death of Jesus. Just as we're aligned with the life of Jesus, we're also aligned with the death of Jesus. We share in his life and we share in his resurrection, but we also share in his death that makes it possible for that new life and that new resurrection to happen. And the thing about that, we share in his death, but we share in his life. We share the struggles and we share the strain and the pain of that life, but we also share the hope and we share his glory, because through that difficulty, this new life came. Through that brokenness, new hope was born, a new possibility for all people to actually go through death into resurrection of life. And this new life is revealed in us, and this new life is revealed through us. And the reality is, yeah, of course, you know this. You don't need me to tell you this. We're broken. We are broken vessels. We're covered in cracks and chips and scars. But even in the midst of that, we are not worthless. We are not useless. We are precious. and priceless. Let me say that to you again. You are not worthless. You are not useless. You are precious, and you are priceless. We have this treasure in jars of clay. The light of the glory of God has been placed within us. What happens when you place a light into a cracked and broken vase? The light shines out. It shines through the cracks. And Jesus does something amazing with our brokenness. Jesus does something amazing with these scars and these cracks and these chips that life happens. This stuff that happens because of the things that life throws at us, but also the stuff that we throw at ourselves. That Jesus does something amazing with them, that he places his light within us. And that light can shine out. The light of the glory of God can radiate out through us. Despite our weaknesses, his glory shines in us. And he uses these things. He uses this brokenness and this fragility and this weakness to actually allow his light to shine. He uses it for our good and for his glory. I've been following Jesus long enough to know that even though, I do a bunch of stuff that causes these things to happen to me. I make bad choices or bad decisions. I do or say things that I regret, and a scar or a chip appears, and then people do or say things that they probably didn't mean or intend for that, but it caused me to break. It causes me to crack in those ways. And I've been following Jesus long enough to know that nothing's wasted. That in all things, Paul tells us in the letters to the church in Romans, in all things, God is at work for the good of those who love him. And in the midst of this difficulty or those challenge or when life is pressing in, he uses this stuff for my good, that I'm better because of it. But he also uses it for his glory. You may have come across this Japanese art form called kintsugi, where they take broken vases and glue them together with gold leaf. They don't try and hide the cracks. I've actually glued some of this together because it was really difficult to hold and to carry. But they don't try and cover up the cracks. They don't try and cover up the scars. They highlight them with gold leaf. And they see, well, there's such beauty in this brokenness. These scars and these cracks tell a story. So they don't cover it up. And the vase takes on new meaning. The vase takes on new value because of the cracks and the scars that are in it. And, so I'll go back to this time and I'm thinking, maybe I'm a broken vase and these bits are falling off and God's holding me together. And that's all nice, God. Thank you for doing that. And I was thinking about an image of this kintsugi vase. And I said to God, why don't you fix me? If I'm broken and you have to hold me together, why don't you fix me? Just stick me back together again. And as I was saying that, again, I felt this nudge, this prod from within where God said, then you wouldn't let me hold you. Let me just leave that there for a moment. Then you wouldn't let me hold you. This might seem like therapy for me, so apologies for that. But I sense that God wants to say something to you in the midst of this. That we are broken, sorry. There's stuff that happens, isn't there? Stuff that we do ourselves, that we regret. And there's stuff that happens to us. And there's just accidental stuff, just things, it's just life. And we take the strain of that. Something happens within us. And then we try and present an image that everything's okay, that we're strong and we're sorted, that we're pristine, that there's no scars on me. I'm not broken. But each and every one of us is. Each and every one of us carries these scars because it's just life. And I really believe that, God says this to me, but I think he says it to us. Let me hold you. I don't want to fix you because then you wouldn't depend on me. Then you wouldn't look to me. And for this period of life that we know it, I want to hold you. I want to place my hands around you. And I want to hold these pieces in place so that you can function, so that you can do what it is that I've asked of you, so that you can follow me and be faithful to me. But I'm going to place my glory within you. And this is why I want the cracks to be visible. This is why I want the scars to be visible, because then my glory shines from within you. I love this picture. I love the intimacy. That's why I keep this on my desk as a constant reminder when I'm tempted to take things back into my control and fix it and hold it together. Or when I start to feel bad because actually that's broken and I can't solve that, or there's a part of me that, of life that I just don't know how to sort that actually that's not my responsibility. That what Jesus has asked of me is to faithfully follow him in the midst of those things and let him do the rest. So I keep that there as that reminder. But I'm not a broken vase. I'm a person. This is just a metaphor. It's just an image. And what actually does this mean in reality? What actually does this mean in real life? What difference does this actually make to how we can live our lives and how we can continue to faithfully follow Jesus? Well, let me quickly give you a couple of things to ponder. The first thing is we need to embrace our brokenness. We need to own it and admit it. Stop trying to present an image to the world around us that we're perfect and we're sorted all of the time. It doesn't mean that you always have to put all these things on display all of the times, but we need a place where you can be open and honest with people. You need a place where people know you and love you, and you can just let them see the scars that you carry. Own it, admit it. Recognize, what caused that? What caused that break? What caused that crack for you? What was it that you said, or what was it that you did, or what was it that they said, or what was it that they did? Just acknowledge the damage that caused. Again, not to point the finger or to rake over it. Just acknowledge it. Just admit it. Just embrace it. The problem is when we don't embrace our brokenness, when we try and present this perfect image, we go looking into other places to hold us together. We go looking in other sources to try and fix us and keep that together. For some people, that's substance abuse, maybe drugs or too much alcohol, and we try and numb the pain in those things. For other people, it's relationships. We put too much pressure on relationships to hold us together. And those relationships were never designed to do that. For some of us, it's career or trying to climb the ladder or try and be the best that we can be in those situations. I mean, those things are good. It's good to have relationships. It's good to try and be your best. But if you're doing that so that you can try and actually kid yourself that you are not a broken jar of clay, you're kidding yourself. And all of those things, all they'll do, they're like anesthetic. Yeah, sure, they will numb the pain for a moment, but they won't fix the problem. So embrace your brokenness. Second thing to do is lean on God's strength. It's not your job to hold all the pieces together. God says, let me do that for you. I want to hold you. So trust that God is with you, that he is supporting you and helping you. And if you feel like this at the moment, if you're going through stuff at life and you feel like a broken jar, allow God to be there. Trust that he is walking with you. Even if you can't see him or feel him, or you can't see a solution to the problem you're facing, trust that God is there. And if you're not, if life is fine and everything's going okay, celebrate in that. Thank God for that. Continue to lean on his strength. Don't be tempted to lean back on your strength because you think that you can do this by yourself. Take those moments that when stuff happens to pause and to pray and allow yourself to sink into God's hands. Allow yourself to be held by God. And from there, let him guide you. Let him direct you. Seek his wisdom in those situations. And I just imagine the difference that life would have been if you'd done that all of the time. That when you face those moments that cause a crack in your life, that you, rather than reacted, you paused and you prayed and you asked God to speak and guide, and then you acted. I mean, I carry so many scars because of the things that I did after stuff that happened that I regret. So lean on God's strength. And the third thing is, let his light shine through the cracks. Your brokenness allows God's glory to shine through you. So be a person of grace, a person that loves others, a person that helps others. Be a person that seeks to serve others. Be a person that seeks to make a difference. Don't wait till you have it all together. Don't wait till you have it all sorted before you help somebody else. Actually, in your brokenness, be somebody who actively seeks to help other people. Your brokenness doesn't disqualify you from being used by God to share his glory and his love. It actually qualifies you to do that. We have this treasure in jars of clay that we're broken, but God holds us together. We're going to get the band back on stage and just give some space for you to ponder that and reflect on that. And I wonder, if there's something that I've said in that you resonate with and think, yeah, Chris, actually, I feel that. I can see the scars. I can feel the scars. I can feel the cracks appearing. I can feel the pressure of weight. I can feel the pressure of expectation or whatever it is. And I feel that brokenness. Know that God wants to hold you. He wants to hold those pieces together, and he wants to place his glory within you. If that's you, and if you actually want a reminder of that, I was going to break up this vase and give us all a piece, but I thought that might be a health and safety nightmare, and I'll get told off. So I've got some mosaic pieces within the vase that all come from a broken bit of china, I'd love for you just to come up. The band's going to play a couple of songs. I'm going to put the vase on the floor on the stage. And if you want it, I'd love you just to come up and grab a piece and just take it home with you. Keep it somewhere prominent in your wallet, or stick it in your car or on your desk or wherever it is. Or just, hold it for a while and allow yourself to, as you do that, to recognize that, yeah, I'm broken. I'm not complete. I don't have it all together, but that's okay. Because I don't have to have it all together. That's not what God is asking of me. He's asking me to own my brokenness, but in the midst of that, to look to him, to trust him, to be dependent on him. So we're going to sing a couple of songs, and that's your invitation, is to simply come and do that, grab a piece, and take it home with you as a reminder of who Jesus is and what he's doing in your life. Let me pray for us. Father God, I thank you that you love us, that you know us, that when we try and hide and we try and present this false image, you see through that. And I thank you that you don't tolerate us, but you embrace us, that each of these scars tells a story. And there's regret and there's shame, there's embarrassment, there's hurt, there's pain. And I thank you that we can give that to you as well, that you can deal with that. The stuff that we've done that have hurt ourselves or hurt other people. I thank you that you deal with that. So we offer you ourselves and pray, Lord, that you'd come and you'd embrace us, that you'd come and you'd hold us, and we'd draw strength from you. Bless us, Lord.